What's good, Ravens fans? It's your boy JG back with another video. And today we're going to talk about and react to the Ravens' new offensive identity. However, before I get into that, I do want to talk about something serious. On YouTube, we are a family, we're a community of Baltimore Ravens fans. You guys know I'm not the only person that makes Baltimore Ravens content. When I first started, I was the first one. I was the godfather. But I took a break. And then when I took a break, there was another guy who was making videos too. He was doing gaming videos as well, but now he's the biggest Baltimore Ravens YouTuber on the platform. Okay? Engraven Vids, team keep it clean. Again, go look at his channel and subscribe to his channel. YouTube is playing with him and doing some things that I don't think they should be doing, especially in his case where he's using this to, feed his family, as he says in the video. So again, he started off with no subscribers, got to where he is, and he's given so much to the YouTube platform. I think that we as Ravens fans should go and support him by throwing him a subscription and leave a comment or something. Again, I'm not going to ask for anything more than that. He didn't tell me to talk about this, of course. We're cool. We admire each other's work. But other than that, we're not like best friends. But I do respect him for what he done. Again, he is the biggest Ravens YouTuber, which means he pulls the boat. And so I think it's important for us to acknowledge that and say, man, we're sorry that what's happening with you on YouTube. Again, it's a big deal when for a month you cannot monetize your videos, feed your family. That really does suck. So this is a full-time job for him. And again, you guys know what would happen to you if you couldn't work for a month. I know what would happen to me. So you guys, please go over there and subscribe to him. We're going to get to the video. I didn't want to make a whole video about it because, again, I don't want to feel like I'm stealing anyone's thunder, but I did want to put that in the intro of this video. So team, keep it clean. I got your back. We love you, man. I hope everything gets settled and you can start making money again for your family and to give the Ravens fans what they want. So thank you so much. All right, let's get to the reaction video. We're reacting to Todd Monken, sharing what the offensive identity will be. Let's get into it.
Todd, first of all, congratulations. Welcome to Baltimore.
Appreciate it.
How's it going getting settled in after first few days on the job here?
Good. It's been great. Just working through staff and then getting my feet wet in terms of trying to take the best of what was done in the past in terms of power run game, getting after people, and then incorporating some of the things that I've done in the past. It's been fun.
Now, for you, when you go through this process where you're interviewing with the Ravens, and there's reportedly a lot of interest from you after helping Georgia win 2 straight national championships, what made you?
So before they go on, I want to prepare you guys. Remember, this is Baltimore Ravens content. If you see the Baltimore Ravens content, you know they are not a critical bunch. You know me, I'm critical, okay? I'll talk about James Prochet until the cows come home. They're not going to be critical, so I'll jump in. If I see a slow ball, right down the plate, I'll say it. But again, just want to make sure you guys are prepared. That don't expect them to be saying anything. For example, like what happened in Cleveland when you couldn't make that work. They're not going to say anything like that. So I'm just letting y'all know.
I feel like this team, this opportunity was the right fit for you.
Great question. Probably very similar to how I felt about going to Georgia when I did, which was, okay, a culture that's already set, team that's really good on defense. So what can you do to potentially go there and build on what they had done previously offensively? And that was probably one of the biggest things, when you're talking about stability as a head coach, culture, organization. That was probably the most intriguing thing of anything.
So when I've looked back through your career and the different places you've been, there's been a lot of different systems that you've run. It's not just one specific system where that's the only thing that you've done. It's been pass heavy at times. It's been featuring the tight end, balanced. So as you look at the team here, what's your expectation for what this offense and what the system will look like?
Well, you're right. I've been through a lot of systems, with different coaches and their beliefs, in terms of how you attack people, which has been really good. I'm a byproduct of being around really good coaches and really good players that you learn a lot from, and I've learned a lot from.
And this is a good thing that I think I want to touch on about, guys. This team is going to look a little bit different because, one, Greg Roman is a savant in the running game. That's just what the truth is. And Todd Monken is going to bring in more of a pass game, right? So those two things are going to be true. However, do not expect a total difference because, like he said, offensive coordinators unless you are a famous coordinator, right? Unless you are, for example, the Shanahan family, right? Where you have an offensive identity in regards to who the coach is. They brought you on so you can implement your offensive identity, right? Many coordinators are not like that, right? Same thing on defense, right? Even though they ran a system in Michigan that was similar to the Ravens system, it still had Jim Harbaugh's zeal on it, right? When you bring it back here, it's going to have John Harbaugh's zeal on it, right? This is what happens in the league. So even though it will be different for sure, do not expect us to be passing on first down often. Okay, I don't think that's going to happen. I really do think that it will be similar to how we've run it in the past in terms of situational football, right? So that's honestly how I feel.
From both, and the system starts with having really good players. Okay, that's a start. You got really good players, that at least gives you a chance. And then trying to figure out, you have to have an identity. I mean, you cannot control the game if you can't run the football. You can't. You absolutely, the physicality of your team, and then everything comes from there. Now, there's varying ways of doing that. Physicality doesn't have to mean that you are in 13 personnel or you have a fullback in the game. That's a part of it, that's for sure. But it also is physicality, whether you're in one back or two back, and the ability to be able to push the ball down the field. Because no matter what level you're at, the way you win is don't turn it over, be explosive, score touchdowns in the red zone, be good on third downs, don't have lost yardage plays, and if you have a quarterback that can make off-scheduled plays. That's where it starts, whether you're in two back, three back, no back.
So I like the way he talk. I ain't gonna lie, guys. I like the way he's talking. So thing I want to comment on though is it's about the players, and he said it right. All the coaching doesn't matter in the world if you don't have the players. Again, we don't have the players at receiver right now. Maybe they'll get better, right? Again, you always have to account for that percentage of improvement, especially in young players. But again, we have to go out and get some receivers for the system to work, especially the downfield passing part of the system.
Those are all the same parameters when you go from an analytics standpoint. So in my mind, how do we get really elite at those categories that really matter?
So in talking with people over the last week since the move was announced, it seems like one common thread throughout your career is that you cater things around to the players that you have. You kind of just talked about, putting the players in position to be successful. And obviously there's no player more dynamic than Lamar Jackson at the quarterback position. Just how excited are you for building an offense around him and his strengths?
It's obvious looking at him play the game of, he's an electric player, tremendous skill set. The thing I probably think most of all of it, when you say like what excites you the most, what excites me is when you hear what the players say about your quarterback. Mm-hmm. And when they say about complimentary things about that player in terms of wanting him as a teammate, wanting him to lead this team, those are positives when you're talking about, okay, our success, the player's belief. Just like you'd want.
And again, it's important to also note this is a great example of everyone in the world knows Lamar is great. The teammates know Lamar is great because guess what? Other than J.K. Dobbins and Mark Andrews, everyone else is looking around like, man, if I just do my job, we could be great. James Prochet's looking around like, hey, I'm going to stop picking on them. Let me pick somebody else. Devin Duvernay is looking around like, hey, man, if I just get open a little bit more, we have a chance to really, really do some dangerous stuff, right? And so all the players know he's great. The players on defense look at him and they say, man, he's killing the game. If we were out there defending him, we would be in trouble. Everyone thinks that. And so, again, I didn't want to talk about Lamar. Honestly, I got a little bit tired of talking about Lamar, which is why I did this video. But the truth of the matter is, it's all about the players. And honestly, it's all about Lamar. If we don't have Lamar, that's going to put us back about 2 years. So that's just 100% honesty. And unfortunately, it is what it is.
Want that same belief in them saying the same thing about Coach Harbaugh, just like you'd want them to say the same thing about me. That you want, if you interviewed guys at Georgia, I'd hope they would say certain things about me. If they didn't, that would suck.
Right. It seems like wherever you've been, you've really maximized the ability and the potential of that quarterback position. I mean, I look at Stetson Bennett, the last few years, and obviously his story is well documented, going from a walk-on to a Heisman Trophy finalist. What do you think is the key in maximizing the abilities of the quarterback position?
Well, again, I think that in a lot of ways, yes, Stetson was initially a walk-on, but that after you've been there 6 years, okay, and you're 25 years old, we're way beyond that now. He's a good player. He's a really good player. And eventually they just kept using that like as if, boy, you got, no, we had some other walk-ons that aren't going to get to that. That's unfair to just classify him in that because he was a really good player. And so I do think that you have to play to the strengths of the quarterback and your team. And I think you have to make it simple enough to where they can play fast. Now, easier said than done, you know. And you have, like I said, you have to have a great staff that builds what you want to do philosophically around those players. And then you have complete buy-in. And then you have to start what you do really well and then how you attack people.
You mentioned the running game, and over the past few years, nobody's run the ball better than the Ravens in the NFL. How do you want to try to take what's in place and that success, that's been there on the ground?
Sorry, I got to call it out. I was going to let it slide, but statistically not true, right? Statistically, teams like the 49ers have had better running games because, again, we had two running backs who were injured, our two starting running backs. And so basically Lamar had to win every game on his arm and on his legs. So just, the cookie cutter stuff, I'm not going to let that slide. Not today. All right. Not today.
And then add on top of it and try to work on taking that passing game to a new level so that, those two pieces marry each other.
That is the challenge for sure, is marrying up what's been done here in the past in terms of running the football and controlling the game. And obviously the number one object is to win. So that part of it. And yet maybe bringing things up, in terms of more up to speed, I guess, or what I'm used to, which is maybe a little more open sets, a little bit more space. What helps you with that? Space players, right? It's easy to say you want to be in space and you have guys hurt. You don't have the same guys, are you?
Hey, wait a minute. All right, wait. Uh-oh. He might get invited to the cookout, guys. So this is what he's saying. I want to open it up, and that's going to be a big difference for the Ravens, right? But then he also said, but guess what? When my three best receivers are Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, and another tight end, I forgot, Josh Oliver, I can't open it up. Who can open it up when those are your three best receivers? They're tight ends, right? They can't beat corners one-on-one in man coverage. Sorry. That's not how this game works. It's not how football works, ladies and gentlemen. Doesn't matter how good of a tight end you are, right? You're not consistently going to beat the best cornerbacks. Not, again, some average cornerback, yes. Some average cornerback, Travis Kelce can beat him. Travis Kelce, guys, cannot beat Patrick Surtain more times than Patrick Surtain wins that. Because Patrick Surtain is strong as well, and he's also very quick and shifty. That's just what the truth is. Now, Travis Kelce kills safeties. Travis Kelce kills linebackers. Travis Kelce kills slots. But the number one tight end, number one cornerback, that's hard. And it would be hard for Mark Andrews too. And because of that, you can't open it up. And that is exactly what he's saying. That's why I agree with that. So it's good so far. Good so far. Shout out to Todd.
You feel like your best personnel is maybe tightened down. But I think getting to that point where you use every blade of grass, all 53 and a third, use, the full length of the field. And again, everybody's going to say that. But that's what you try to do, is you try to create more space, utilizing space players. I think skill guys, when you do installs, I think I learned this once I got to the NFL, and I'm not saying I've always done an elite job at it, but when you install, they look at where their opportunities are going to be, where they're going to have a chance to make an impact on the game. Now, they have to earn that, but ultimately to me, balance is everybody's ability to touch the ball and be an impact. It's not run pass. It's really about them having to defend run and pass and personnel and plays that you just don't have these two guys touch the ball. That happens, but you try to avoid that at all costs to be able to. And skill guys, you're going to get the most out of them if they know when their opportunities are going to come.
So
And super dope. Again, he's saying that right now, that he's not saying this, I'm saying this. Right now, we are only playing the game A to B, right? This is what we do: run, pass, run, pass, and that's because we only pass the ball to certain people. Now, the run game, I think we could have done a little bit more of that variable stuff, right? Again, in my vision, Devin Duvernay is Debo Samuel's light. Okay, every game he should get at least two sweeps, two jet sweeps every game. He should or line him up in the back as a running back every game at least once or twice. Right? Give us set like that twice. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking for 5 times. Twice. Then use J.K. and Gus the other times. Lamar Jackson, use him. That is dangerous. How can they defend that? And then once you incorporate a passing game that throws it not only to the tight ends, right? Not only to the receivers, but also to the running backs. Again, J.K. Dobbins can catch the ball, you know, and a lot of times in our league, we kind of just put people in this box, right? Why is it that when we have a healthy Isaiah Likely and a healthy Mark Andrews is the only one getting throws? It makes no sense. If Isaiah Likely can catch 10 passes in the football game against starters, he can definitely do it against starters when he has less attention. So why is he getting one reception in this game with Mark Andrews getting 8 receptions, and why isn't Mark Andrews getting 7 receptions and Isaiah Likely getting 4 receptions? Because there's no one else to throw it to, guys. So it's not like Mark Andrews can hog the ball. You can throw to Mark Andrews 20 times a game and still get thrown to Isaiah Likely 26 times a game because the receivers aren't there, they're injured, or they can't catch the ball. I was going to say somebody's name, but I'm stop bothering him. I really am. I feel like a bully. I don't want to be a bully. So.
And skill guys, a big topic throughout this entire offseason is going to be wide receiver, when we get to free agency and the draft. And that's certainly something, that the Ravens have talked about wanting to upgrade that position and kind of.
Don't worry, man. They're not, listen, hey, they're not going to fire you, buddy, okay? Garrett, they're not going to fire you, all right? You can talk about the receivers. They're bad. They're not going to fire you for saying that. Everyone can see that, all right? So say it with your chest, please. They're not good.
Remake that room a little bit. Your background, you started your career as a wide receivers coach, earlier in your coaching career as you've risen up the ranks. What is it about trying to maximize the receiver position, and how do you go about
nervous, boy,
doing that with that spot?
Good question. I think first off, I'll just talk in just general, is that I think every player and every coach is always under construction. We are always learning and getting better. And I think we're in the development business. So any player that you get, you're fighting like hell to develop them and try to using what their elite trait is. You're always trying to find what that is. Where can they add value within a game plan? For instance, Wes Welker's with the Dolphins, catching 60 balls. They're a pro-style offense. He goes to New England. He's a 100-catch guy playing in the slot, Hall of Famer, right? Where can you find pieces that can play at an elite level of what you're asking them to do? For instance, any position's that way. You're not going to ask an elite punter to play out the left tackle. He has an elite trait, right? So where is your elite traits that you think can help you from a value? And then you're constantly trying to develop them to maximize their skill set. And then also they should always be trying to get to the upper level of their skill set. So I think that's one of the biggest things is you control who ends up in the room and you coach the hell out of them to try and get the most out of them that you can. And you only know that when you get young players is if you have a hard decision to make that they came in as a player and then they hit free agency and there's people that want them. Like you've got to the point where you have a hard decision to make. If you've gotten younger players and you haven't gotten them to that point and no one wants them, you haven't developed them. You haven't gotten to that point. That's the biggest compliment you can have is you've developed younger players because we're in the development business. College, we get 25, 30 scholarships now. You get a lot of the first round picks. You don't. You have to develop. The teams that have had the best rosters have done the best job of developing players.
And lastly, Todd,
and great point. A thing that a lot of coaches, when they make that transition over to the NFL, have a hard time struggling is one, you are no longer above players, right? You cannot tell. Same thing that happened with Urban Meyer in Jacksonville. You can't tell a person that makes more money than you, and in some cases, right now, not always, but because Urban Meyer was very successful on the college level, but if you know, and he was on the Jacksonville Jaguars, who didn't have a lot of great players. But if you go to, for example, um, if you go to Tampa Bay, right, as a new coach, they have recently won a Super Bowl. They have players who will be Hall of Famers, right? They have players who have been called the best at their position. They make more money than you, right? In many cases, especially at the quarterback position, they can ask for you to get fired and you'll be fired. You can't just go in there telling them what to do. So that's the first thing. But the second thing is how you get players, right? When you're Georgia, you can go into any room in America and say, "Hey, I'm Georgia," and the only thing that is better than that is, "Hey, I'm Alabama. Hey, I'm Ohio State. Hey, whatever." So that's only like three options, all right? That's better than you. In the NFL, all options are equal, right? It's very, very seldom where, for example, a player is drafted to his hometown, right? Most times players are drafted to places that they don't want to play in, but they do because they love football, right? I don't care what you say. No one wants to play in Green Bay when you're from California. That's just what it is. When you're from Florida, from Texas, and from California, where a lot of these NFL players are from, no one wants to play in Chicago. Okay? That's just the truth. And so, especially when they're bad. And so, this is something that coaches have to deal with. And he's basically saying, look, we got to make these players better, right? We need to make them look at us and say, "You're helping me get better, so I want to be here," or "You're helping me get better, so I trust you." And that's an important thing for any coach,
The
especially
Ravens take
offensive
the field
coordinators.
this year. What do you want the identity of this offense to be?
Again, I've already said I don't think you can control the game if you can't run the football. I just don't believe that. There are times a quarterback needs a smoke break. I just hand the ball off, right? I can comfortably just turn around, hand the ball off, and you can play football that way. But I would hope that we utilize the players that we have. All of our skilled players, give them opportunities when warranted. And they would hope that you would see the players enjoying playing in a system, that they enjoy that part of it. But as we all know, the joy's in winning. I mean, it's a locker room after the game. It's coach giving out game balls. That's why we do it. It's for the locker room afterwards of a mission accomplished with a group of men. And so that's the big part of it, is that's what it should look like in terms of controlling the game, utilizing all your skilled players, and don't ever forget, it's all about winning.
Well, we are excited. We can't.
Awesome. Listen, that's a Ravens response. 100%. It's all about winning. That's all we care about as Ravens fans. We care about the dubs, winning football games. So, again, I liked it a lot, man. I thought he had a lot of great points. Again, I want to see it. And so I'm excited to see what it looks like next season. Hopefully we'll have a star quarterback to show us what it looks like. But I do want to see what it looks like if it can be opened up more. If we can actually make some of those throws sideline to sideline, right? And not just, running crosses over the middle and curl routes. I want to see what all these routes look like together if we decide to open it up. So again, I give Todd an A for his first show, and I thought that was pretty awesome. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments below. And again, remember, support Team Keep It Clean over on Engraving Vids. Thank you guys so much. Go Ravens.